Daniel Jeremiah joins us. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for coming on. You just finished your 13th interview of the morning.
I feel like we just were visiting at training camp a week ago.
Right?
How fast did that go?
Yeah, good to have you.
Time slides by. What do you think? What are your thoughts about this draft? I guess just to jump right into it. I mean, how deep is this draft? I mean, we talk about in the big picture, how deep does NFL talent go in this draft?
Well, I think skill-wise is really good. Receivers, DBs, really strong. I think it's a good group of quarterbacks. You guys don't have to worry about that anymore. Isn't it nice to come into these drafts and not have to talk about quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Running backs really good. Interior offensive linemen, not so much. Tight ends, we don't really have a first-round guy. So it depends on what you're shopping for, but definitely skill guys is good.
NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah. On Twitter, you can find him at Move the Sticks. He's here with the NFL Network coverage of the Combine live. And you start Thursday, tomorrow, right? Today's Wednesday, Thursday at 4 p.m. A different schedule for everybody, right? With 4 o'clock in the afternoon workouts.
4 to 11, man. So I'm glad I'm on West Coast time, so I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. But I know some of these teams, they get there for weigh-ins. Like Thursday, they get for weigh-ins at 7 a.m.
Yeah, they're working long days.
It's like 4 a.m. out west.
That's long days. But I'm stoked. I'm hoping we'll get some new people that haven't necessarily checked out the Combine. They'll check it out, being in prime time and all. I've been telling everybody we're on for 28 hours over the 4 days. Turns out it's only 26. I'm like, dude, I got 2 hours off, man. Like, this is a piece of cake.
Getting your time back.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Let me start asking you a couple questions about the Bills. I know you follow the Bills pretty closely. We had John a couple weeks ago talking about the Bills. And the 2019 Bills season was a success, 10 wins, a lot. But to come here, I mentioned to somebody, Steve and I were talking with people, you get a different perspective on the Bills, and in particular Josh Allen, a league-wide perspective, maybe not as rosy as the perspective in Buffalo. Huh? What's your take on Josh?
I like Josh, and so I don't agree with that assessment of people that are down on him. Now, are there going to be one or two throws every game that you're going to say, "Gosh, I wish Josh would have got that one"? Yeah, that's you're going to live with that. But to me, I used to always look at it with quarterbacks as kind of like the triangle that you had to have to play the position at a high level. It was accuracy, decision-making, and poise. Like, that was it. Like, everything funnels through those three things. And I think now I've added a fourth and just said playmaking, because the playmaking can overcome some of the deficiencies in those other three areas. And I think that's what Josh brings. So you live with some of that stuff. You're going to have to live with some of that.
Yeah, and some of the X's and O's that are so sophisticated now with personnel groupings and the creative offenses and the personnel packages, formation, shifts, motions, showing different looks to run some of your bread and butter plays. As much and sophisticated and as thought out as it is, you get guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, who's been doing it for years, all these guys that come in.
Kyler Murray.
And even back in his career, Ben Roethlisberger, before he was the kind of guy he is, being able to make plays off the page. When you get into these games, and we talked to Frank Reich and all these guys, the games come down to 3 or 4 plays. Mm-hmm. And most of those 3 or 4 plays are off the page. And that trait of being able to do that has become a thing. Mm-hmm. More so than it has in the past.
I don't know what the proper term is, because I've been trying to figure out the best way to explain this as we go through it. I wrote down reactionary intelligence. Right. So there's one thing. There's the intelligence to be able to swallow the playbook, to learn it, to master it. But as you said, Steve, it doesn't always go like it looks on the paper. So you got to be able to react and make plays, and that's why, to me, if we look at, and obviously you guys aren't in the quarterback market, but with a guy like Justin Herbert versus somebody like Jordan Love, Justin Herbert on schedule, I give him the edge. But Jordan Love can create. He can make plays. And when everything's not perfect, he can make you right. So while he still needs to develop a little bit, I personally am valuing that trait more than I ever have before. And Josh is one of the reasons why.
Well, I'm just going to say, we talked to one of your colleagues a minute ago, just passing by, Kim Jones, NFL Network. She said he's being compared to Josh Allen, huh?
Yeah.
Jordan Love is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities there. And you look at the stats, playing with inferior talent at Utah State and Wyoming, and people nitpicked. I always find this one kind of funny because it's important. Yeah, how do they play when they play tougher opponents? Well, it's one thing if you're a receiver going up against a DB and it's you one-on-one.
You can get some separation.
When I've got to run everything and I've got 10 inferior players playing with me and you've got 11 superior players at LSU on the other side, like, I don't know what you're expecting me to do here.
Right.
It's not going to look good.
And so you talk about this draft and the guys coming out, and particularly at the top of this draft, I'm not going to ask you to go through the top 50, but how many guys in this draft with talent, experience, with the pedigree coming out, everything considered, how many of those guys are difference makers right now, week one in the National Football League from their rookie season on, like Joey Bosa's, those kind of, how many guys are there that are guys that are like, okay, here we go. This guy's going to be a difference maker from day one.
Yeah,
how many of those guys?
I think that's the challenge. I think there's this draft has more depth, but like, you know, receiver position. Is there a Julio Jones? Is there a Calvin Johnson? No. But there are, you know, the two kids at Alabama, CeeDee Lamb. There's a bunch of guys that are going to develop as they go along and be great players. But, you know, what Nick Bosa did last year for the 49ers, that's so rare, man.
Right.
You just don't see a lot of those type of guys. Chase Young's got a chance to do that. So if I'm going to put a number on it, Steve, I'd say you're talking about 8 to 10 guys that year one are going to be dynamic, you know, and you're going to see a lot of contributors throughout the entire draft.
Sure.
But that type of impact, man, that's hard to come by.
Right. You got to be in the top 10 of the draft to be kind of considered that. And
like Jeffrey Okudah is going to come in, and he got a chance to be a shutdown corner very early on. He's that gifted.
Talking with NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah, in your top 50 prospects, Daniel, you matched up the Bills with Clemson receiver T. Higgins. You call him a jump ball specialist. What do you see there from T. Higgins?
He's, you know, you're hoping you're drafting A.J. Green. Ironically, it's his favorite player. I love when kids are aware enough to compare themselves and like players that have similar type body types and skill sets. But he's somebody he's a great basketball player. He's very acrobatic. And Josh, you know, is not always going to be pinpoint accurate. So you get a lot more catch radius to work with him, especially down in the red zone. He had some issues late in the season as the competition really stepped up, getting off press. So that's going to be a little bit of a work in progress with him. But I think the kid's very athletic, very acrobatic, and would give them a nice red zone guy.
Yeah, and so what do you think about if T. Higgins comes off the board, or, you know, go down the list for us? I mean, the Bills, everybody says, and I've been for it and against it in different ways, but everybody wants a big guy, a size guy, a 6'4" guy, a 6'2" guy, a heavy guy, a run-after-catch guy, a jump ball guy like that. How many guys like that are worthy of 22?
Well, at 22, maybe a little bit rich in terms of some of the guys you would see there. But to me, it's a great trade back opportunity. A guy like Michael Pittman from USC, who's almost 6'4", 220 pounds, who beat Utah by himself this year at USC, making all those plays above the rim. And all the guys he beat are all here at the Combine, really good football players. So he's somebody that's a second-round receiver all day long. He's got that size and physicality. You've got Denzel Mims from Baylor is another one who's, 6'2.5", 6'3", who can play above the rim. He's a second-round guy. I think the day two, if you look over the last couple of years, you can make a strong case over the last 5 years. You would rather have the day two receivers than the day one receivers. So
why is that? Why would that fall that way?
It's fascinating. I think when you just look at a lot of the smart teams have realized, man, we have so much depth at receiver because the college game is playing four wide everywhere. So they're giving us all these receivers. So we're not going to pay the premium in round one. There's still plenty of good players there in round two. So you're getting good players going to good offenses, good organizations, and they're stepping right in and taking off. You look at Mike Thomas, what he did. You look at Deebo Samuel, what he did with the Niners last year. DK Metcalf with the Seahawks. A.J. Brown, what he did for the Titans. All these guys were day two picks. DJ Chark, even with the Jags, has done a nice job. So there's more volume. There's more number of guys going on day two, so you got a better chance there. But that is the sweet spot.
Let me get him involved in our Twitter poll today, because this is what we're talking about. What's the best, and I know you want somebody with all these characteristics, but what's the best characteristic the Bills should look for when they add a wide receiver? Size, length is one, speed, good hands, or other? Can you pick one, knowing this draft and knowing what the Bills might need?
Maybe that's old school, but I always started with hands. You got to catch the football.
Yeah.
So, we have this argument in draft rooms all the time. This guy can really separate. I'm like, who cares? He can't catch. Who cares? But to me, I start with your hands, and then, it's not on there, but to me, it's your quickness and your ability to separate at the top of your route.
Yeah, because there's always the argument to be made that, you can teach some things and some things you can. The physical traits, maybe you can't teach, but hands, go catching the jugs machine.
You can get better.
You can debate on that. Yeah. We can debate on that for. And
we will. It has been the debate, no question.
Hey, before we let you go, we had Tom Telesco on the show yesterday. The Chargers are coming to Buffalo this year.
I'm looking forward to it. We had a great time out there last time, so I'm looking forward to getting back out there. It's really, I don't say this not to suck up here, but it's just one of the best environments.
Good environment.
Because you guys have passionate fans, but they're not jerks.
Well, okay.
They haven't been to us.
Present company excluded, of course.
Hey, Daniel, thanks for this. You got a busy week.
Have a great week.
We'll be watching this week, by the way. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network. He's part of NFL Network's coverage of the NFL Scouting Combine.